So I will invite everybody to wait a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes even, until everybody joins, and then we start. Meanwhile, you could even start by browsing our webpage, which I will share in a second. Of course, probably you have done it already. But it's always good to have fresh information. So this is our website, www.ut, which comes from University of Tartu.ee, which is the code for Estonia, /ILHR. Obviously, from the name of the program, international law and human rights. So this is the code. So maybe you could have a little browse, and we will start in a minute, exactly in a minute. Great. So welcome. Thank you very much for choosing to hear or listen to us and interact with us in this webinar organized within the virtual open days at Tartu University, with an interest to know more about the master's program in international law and human rights. So this webinar will last for 1 hour. And myself, I am Elizabeth Kasa-Mälksoo. I'm the program director of this master's program. And I would like to share with you some of the features of this program and how is it organized, what does it mean, what does it imply to come and study with us, invite you warmly to do so, and then maybe take some of your questions which you can ask in chat. And answer them in order for you to be aware of as many details as possible of the application process, and also what it means if you successfully apply and join us, what it means to study with us here in Estonia. And together with me, I have today the pleasure to introduce to you also two of the current students in this program. One of them is in the first year, Bart from UK, and the other one is Clara from Brazil. She is a student in the second year of this program. So is it a long program? Yes, it's a 2 years master's program that is based in Estonia at the University of Tartu, at the School of Law of the University of Tartu. And this I will also say, it's a program that is not taught in the town of Tartu, but in the capital city of Estonia, which is the city of Tallinn. Now, it's a 2-year master's program, which is meant to provide to students comprehensive knowledge of international law and human rights. And then each and every one of you who are interested, you could expand expertise in other areas. And I will also show what is taught in our curriculum, so you know you could specialize. Now, on this slide, I hope you see them. You will see that this program is the equivalent of 100 study credits, let's call them like this, because some of you come from different parts of the world than Europe and European Union, where we use this. That is a little bit to also give an idea of what are the requirements for studying. So on one hand, in order to complete this program, you have to take as many subjects as to meet this total of 120 credits. And I will show you the curriculum to understand what does it mean. And in general, one subject of a one semester subject is 6 credits, so there's quite a lot. But it's also to present to you what are the requirements in terms of how many credits you have to have had already, or the equivalent of those, in case you come from a country which does not use exactly the same system. Now, obviously, I think you know where you want to come. In this map, you see also Estonia here in the north of Europe. I think you have chosen very well. And if you're not convinced, I hope that the information that we provide will convince you that our university is the leading center of research and training of the country. And the University of Tartu belongs to the top 350 universities of the world. Now, another very good reason to enter in all this preparation process to study with us is that all the application process is very nicely and very professionally guided by a dedicated department, the Department of Admission of International Students. And the application is very much like Estonia, probably you have heard about that. Is very much web-based and very efficient and very clear as a process. So I will introduce the program, but actually all the part of admissions is dealt with by our excellent department. So if you have very specific questions, I already invite you to write down this website and contact the admissions for any kind of questions that you might still have in the end of this presentation and that we maybe don't manage to answer from those that you are writing or wrote already in chat. I just want to tell you that in this moment I don't see the chat, but I will see it a bit later. So this is where you would come. And then again, why study with us is because international law is a subject that we have been teaching at this university since already a lot of time. No, as you know, since the university was founded in 1632. Now, our School of Law has produced outstanding scholars and practitioners of international law, and we are teaching this since, as I said, 17th century. Now, very good reasons to give you more of those is that a lot of our teaching staff, besides our professors, are actually professionals of the field. So we work with, for example, former Estonian judge at the European Court of Human Rights, or people who are really probably embodying what you plan to become as you enroll into this program. So I think it's very interesting to get to know these professionals of the field in person and get inspired by them. And this is what I hope you plan to do. So if you have studied law or a significant number of courses in law, and I'll come back to that, and you intend to work for your government, if you intend to work for an international organization, for a non-governmental organization, or in the private sector, also if you plan to pursue an academic career, so continue this master's program with a doctoral degree, then this is a good program for you. This is what I hear from the students who are joining us. My intention is to work at the court of, my intention is to work in the department of, Ministry of Justice, of Foreign Affairs. So many of you have already a path in mind. So I hope that what we teach in this curriculum, as I said, I'm going to show, will help you become the professional you need to become in order to pursue your career. Now, as I said, I have together with me two colleagues, two students from Brazil and from UK, and they are not the only ones coming from outside Estonia. Actually, most of our students are students from all over the world. This program has run for quite so many years now, so we had students from most countries of the world. Maybe you can say hello, Clara and Bart, just for people to see you on the screens.
Hello.
And
Hello.
maybe even break a little bit the presentation. How did you choose Estonia out of, it's a big world, very briefly, and then I will go on. Like Brazil to Estonia, it's a turn around this world, no?
So for me, to come from Brazil to Estonia, what the process was to first decide that I wanted to study outside of Brazil for a while, and then I had a list down of countries that I wanted that offered programs that highlighted my attention and my personal interests. But for me, choosing Estonia was first that I really wanted to get out of my comfort zone. And I think Brazil and Estonia, they have a lot of contrasts. And and the program itself, it offered me what I wanted. I wanted a 2 years master's because back home, it's at least 2 or 3 years in a master's. So I've always grew up with the idea of a longer master's. I wanted classes with the masters because also back home we have most masters are just the thesis and the research part, and we don't have classes. And I want to have specific classes. And most of all, what really brought me here was to study in a post-Soviet country and get some type of subjects that only University of Tartu could offer me, like Russian approaches to international law. And when I was very interested in that, it was even before the Ukrainian-Russian war. And after the war happened, it even brought my attention on how Russia approached international law. And so it was the only program from all the countries that I had down in my list that offered this specific type of study. And it was my final decision to apply was because there was nowhere else that I could learn about this part of the history applied to international law. I think other places can teach, but I think after living in Estonia, you don't see only through the course, but also through the place where you live. So that was my main reason to move here.
Amazing. I'm very glad you joined, Clara. So, as you heard, the desire to study abroad, the desire to study in a longer term program, because there are some specialized programs lasting only 1 year, no? And we have those also at the University of Tartu. A desire to specialize in international law. As Clara was saying, she had a very clear vision of what exactly she wants to deepen her knowledge into. And well, it was also this idea of expanding your horizons and challenging yourself to live abroad and in a country that is quite different than yours, as you say. And Bart, you come from closer.
Yes. So my reasons, they're somewhat similar to Clara's. The first was I had spent 4 years studying in the UK, and I wanted to continue my education, but I didn't want to do it in the UK. I wanted to get a different perspective. Um, it was more focused on, of course, the UK is a very, very Western country, and like Clara said, Estonia is a post-Soviet country and have different perspectives on different aspects of international law. This was the first reason. The second was the course itself. It it's a very broad course in terms of the modules that you can take. One of the difficulties in the UK was that you can either do a master's in human rights law or you can do a master's in international law, but often not together. On this course, you have compulsory modules that are both in human rights and international law, but in the elective modules, you can tailor your course how you see your career going. So, for example, this term, there are a range of options. You can study international criminal law, you can study diplomatic law, and so it was this idea that I could study both. I could tailor my my course how I liked. Yeah, these are my two reasons.
Right. Then again, for you too, I'm very glad that you chose to study with us. Let's show you a bit more what it means to study with us, and especially how you get to that. So I will repeat this so that it's very clear for all of you. University of Tartu is obviously based in the beautiful town of Tartu. Now, this program in particular is based in the capital city, and this is where you have to arrive, and this is where you will study the whole 2 years. What does it mean? It means, as I said, because we involve professionals of the field, many of them are based in the capital city because they work in ministries, in law firms, and so on. We want to be in the vicinity of these organizations or institutions in which later on you will actually practice your profession. So it's a choice that we have made. But it also means that there is no campus or not real campus life in Tallinn. Tallinn is a capital city that is very busy, very beautiful. A lot of things are going on, but it's not this lifestyle of that myself I had when I was a student, living in a campus and well, the beauty part of being a student in a campus. So it offers things being based in a city that has so many possibilities and so many things going on. But then I think what we try is to reinforce the ties between our students and have student events and trips so that there will still be a sense of community, of belonging. So, as I said, the School of Law has a branch in the capital city, and this master program is one of the things we teach in the Tallinn branch of the School of Law, which, as the university, is based in Tartu. So that to be very clear. We will maybe address later on what it means to come and settle in Tallinn. Clara, what if you agree? Let's go first to how actually you get to study with us. So I was talking at the beginning about these credits, no? This, if you want, learning points or study points rather, that we use. And what you need to have is a minimum of 60 credits to be eligible to study with us of law courses. That means that most of our students did graduate, they have a bachelor in law, but some of them, few of them, and nevertheless, have studied international relations, political sciences, and have taken a sufficient number of law courses to meet this 60 credits requirement. Now, our Department of Admissions is in charge of translating all these points from various education systems around the world into our, what we call, these are credits, this is how they're called. So you don't have to worry about that. There is a system behind, there's a calculation. But for me, what we need to see is about 10 solid law-related courses in order for you to be eligible to apply for a master's program. So this is an advanced program in law. Therefore, you have to have solid prior knowledge of law, right? To be able to get a master's diploma. Now, another question that we receive often also by email is, what about English? And how long should my test be valid? And what kind of test do you require for admission? And for this, I invite you to go to, you can do either. On this very short link that I showed initially, universityoftartu.com/admissions, and see what are the requirements in terms of English language proficiency for our international programs, and what are the tests that we accept, and so on. And if you have further on questions, then write to the admissions, please. And of course, there will always be exceptions in countries where obviously this is a language that is officially recognized and spoken. So please refer to the conditions that are described on the website, and then further on ask questions. But obviously this is mandatory, so you will have to have a proof of your language proficiency, because this is a program that is taught exclusively in English. Now, how you will apply is, then I talked about Estonia now, is of course via an internet-based application process. In the end, it's an internet-based process that goes via Dream Apply. So I put you here very bluntly the address. I don't think if you don't remember, or if you don't have time now to write it down, I don't think you will be lost. Why? Because if only you would remember to go on the website of the program, which I said is universityoftartu.ee/ILHR, from International Law and Human Rights. There, on the very website, we have a very nicely designed step-by-step guide of the application process. So everything is there. Well, once you have applied via Dream Apply, and then again, I want to point out the role of our Department of Admission of International Students, who is in charge of all this, and it's prompting, it's asking documents, it's asking clarifications, gives feedback to what you put as document, and so on. So it's very well organized, as I said. Once all the applications are finalized and gathered, they arrive to us. And we are evaluating them. And what we are evaluating are two main elements. One is your motivation letter, which will, as you see on the PowerPoint, gives 50% of your final score. And there will be an admission interview where you will see me and some of my colleagues who are teaching in this program, where we have a discussion with you, and we want to see mainly, both in the motivation letter and in the admission interview, what was your study trajectory so far? How did you, while studying law, decide to go further and study international law and human rights? And how will this program help you build a career? So if you study with us, how do you see your professional life after? And then if you need even more information, also on the website, we have some tips for how to write your motivation letters, and maybe what kind of information we ask at the admission interview. So based on these two elements, there will be a final score, and obviously the first who qualify will be the ones who will become our students. Now, how is this staged as a process? What are the stages of the steps of this process? Is number one, of course, you will submit the application online through Dream Apply, as I said, and the deadline to do that is 15 March 2024. So it might sound that, well, there is time. I mean, in the end, it's even 2 months almost. But my advice is to start this process rather sooner than later, because there are still documents you need to provide and often some unclarities that need to be solved. And it is not the type of application that you make, like for other things in life, the night before. So don't leave it for so late. There are a lot of things to do in this time. Now, the evaluation of your application is happening, and the candidates who are successful are invited to an interview which takes place in the first part of April. The dates are published on beforehand and they are visible on the website, and all candidates are informed. And the interview takes place online. It's a 20 minutes interview, as I said, with myself and colleagues who are teaching in the program. And we intend to announce the results of the admission process by the end of the month of April, so April 30. By that time, you would know if you will be our student, which I hope you will. Now, of course, there are some steps which are completely dealt by the Department of Admission, so I don't want to enter into the details of those, but you will have to send your documents by post, you will pay tuition, a part of it, and this will enable you to trigger all the procedures that are necessary for you to come settle in Estonia for 2 years, which is very often for you a visa, no? And for those of you who are already in Estonia, the system is a bit different. You apply via SAIS, and that opens the 1st of February. More about this, please check on our website, and I will also leave my contacts in the end. You can always write to the admissions and or to me. If are very specific questions connected to documents and certificates and so on, please write directly to admissions. If you are hesitant about the courses in law you took, are they sufficient? You can always run it by me, but then admissions should be always the first choice. And after you got your visa, and hopefully you will manage to arrive here, you will be put in contact actually with our community of students, the existing one we have. They are connected in various groups that function based on social media. They can give you tips, I think, for living here, finding accommodation. We expect you to arrive, especially if you come from outside the European Union, you have to arrive here before 26th of August. And by that time, you should be settled, and our academic year will start on the 2nd of September. And this is when I meet all the students, and this is when you will also meet Bart, because Clara would have graduated by then successfully. Our academic year in Estonia lasts from September until end of June, but already in the second year, the defense of the master thesis is connected with end of May and beginning of June as a process. So by that time, the graduates are already having their diplomas and probably start even working, if not sooner than that. All right, now Bart has mentioned the link between international law and human rights that we make. I mean, they are anyway linked, but also the idea of specialization. So he mentioned a couple of courses, and maybe this is visible from this slide, which shows to you how is our curriculum, how do you make actually these 120 study points or credits, as we call them. And that is by taking, see here in the lower part, by taking 8 of our general courses, actually compulsory courses. And these are the pillars, the fundamentals of this diploma in the end. You will study, as you see, public international law, as well as history and theory of international law. And then the human rights pillar is human rights law and protection of vulnerable groups in international human rights law. And besides this, there is law of international institutions, international settlement of disputes, international relations, and also because this program ends with writing a master's thesis, we also have a compulsory course on research skills and academic writing. So these are, as I said, the main courses you have to take. And on top of this, then you can specialize with electives you would choose. We have here in this left side of the slides, some of them, like Law and Practice of the United Nations, International Criminal Law, I think Barty mentioned, the newest course we have on the menu and on the curriculum. And this course is also changing. In some years, there are added some new ones. Some are not taught every year, so it varies. But the newest one is International Trade Law and Policy. We have European Union law, European human rights law, diplomatic and consular law, as you see, human rights and transitional justice, international law of the sea. Then a very popular course is cyberspace, then again in connection with Estonia and what we specialize in cyberspace technology and international law. Human rights education, which I teach myself, and more. There are more other courses. So you will basically tailor 42 of these credits coming from electives. And then the last elements of the program are practice. And as I said, the master thesis, which you have time to figure out what you have to write about, what you want to write about, and how to write through this, also this course on research skills and academic writing. Now, about the practice, this is always a question we get in all forms through email and in the interviews, and I want to just share this with you. Practice is a compulsory element of this program, and it's something that we believe is very useful for you in becoming a professional of the field. It gives you the chance to practice already some of the things we teach in theory, apply them by working in one of these places I mentioned before, in an international organization, in a law firm, in a non-governmental organization, in a ministry. And most of the time, our students do this practice not in Estonia, but actually in their home countries, in between year 1 and 2. They have the chance to, those of them who return, who can do so, practice for about, I would say, a month. I have put there in the equivalent in hours, how many hours you have to work, but it's about a month that you can do also from, 1 week this month and 1 week next month and so on. So it can be split, but the amount is more or less this. We offer a letter of recommendation attesting that you are studying with us, and that is important that you try out your hand in the field, and this is a way for students to understand better how they want to work, where they want to work, and for many of them it's also like a little bit of an entry point, because if you prove to be somebody who is really appreciated as a professional, for many of the students, they would return back after ending their studies after the second year and actually return to that very institution and get a work contract. But also practice is a place to try out and figure out what you don't want to do and how you don't want to do things. So, well, the role of practice is very important, and this is why it is a compulsory part of our curriculum. And there's more information about it, how it should be supervised and so on. But all this, I leave it for the specifics for later on. Yeah, there are other features of the program. Recently has been a news about our summer schools, and our website contains information about the summer university courses offered by Tartu University. Within our program, this master's program in international law and human rights, there are other things happening. We have student representatives, Clara being one of them, who are in charge of organizing organizing everything that the student, well, everything possible that the student community needs in a certain moment. Two of the last visits I know of, a visit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a visit at the Supreme Court of Estonia. Yeah, there are a lot of other things happening. Bart, if I'm not mistaken, you are also part of the team which prepares for the JESUP Moot Court in International Law, no? And then there is also Students' Journal, which is an academic journal, a law journal focused on, obviously, on international law and human rights questions, which is run by students, where you could publish your first writings. Yeah, so this is what I had in mind to tell about the program, but maybe just to change a little bit, let's give the floor to you two. Maybe Bart, what would you advise people who plan to come and study with us? What tips do you have for them? What takes time? What should they pay attention to?
Yes. If you're intending to come and study, I can't overstate how important it is to get your documents ready before coming over. Myself, I had more difficulty domestically in the UK getting my documents ready than when I got here. As Elizabeth has said, everything, or the majority of things here, are done electronically, and they move quite quickly. But September comes a lot quicker than you think. And when you know that you have to be here 26th of August, and you're trying to get passports, if you don't have one, updated or brand new, your visa sorted, the best thing is to start sooner than later. The second reason for that is accommodation. It isn't difficult to find accommodation in Estonia, particularly in Tallinn, but places come and go very quickly. So you have to be on the ball when you're trying to find somewhere to rent. In terms of some of the things that I have found while studying here more generally, things like transportation in Estonia, you'll find it's very easy to get around. Tallinn isn't an enormous city, but it's certainly not difficult to navigate, and I haven't found it difficult to integrate either. Getting everything set up, signing up at libraries, getting bus passes and residence permits. I will just also mention briefly with regards to the moot courts. As Elizabeth said, I'm part of both the Jessups team and we also do an ICC moot court here. I mentioned the ICC one because I wasn't aware of it before I joined, but it's a happy circumstance. I'm having a lot of fun in both, and they are fantastic opportunities. Both are very well coached. I've had some lectures from Andres Palmas, who's was a participant. He was for the International Criminal Court, and he's given us some procedural lectures. And then we have two coaches that support us well. And then also in Jessup, which will be traveling. We've just completed our memorial for this year, and we'll be traveling at the end of March. And these, they're two fantastic opportunities that are open to anyone who's studying the master's course. Yes.
Yeah. Clara, would you want to add some tips and or how do you see this preparation process applying? Maybe preparing for the interview. Then if you are admitted, then preparing to move to Estonia. Bart has mentioned the documents that have to be prepared, which might take more time in one's own country than you expect. He has mentioned arriving here and then actually before arriving here, getting accommodation, and then once arriving, the transportation, and he also said, signing up for libraries. So these are his. Maybe I add to those or I bring new ones in. I just wanted to make a summary for those who are
Yeah, I
watching.
think I would like to add for people coming from more distant place than within the European continent, even though the UK is not part of the European Union, but it's closer. I think especially coming from the Americans continent or Asian continents, which is a bit more further. I think even the preparation has to start a bit sooner if you can. I think the earlier the better. As Bart mentioned, it's not very hard to get accommodation in Tallinn, but places come and go. And I think one interesting fact after starting, it's been almost 2 years here in Tallinn already, is that as the summer goes, the higher prices goes into rent. So if you can rent earlier, the cheaper you get. And this is something that I learned after 2 summers here. And I think don't hesitate to to start your moving. Also arrive here not at the last minute. I remember it took me about a week to get my life together, to buy stuff for the house, to learn the supermarket. It's at least for me, it's a very different language. I had no idea how to go around, and I think it doesn't take long. But it is a shock, of course, if you come from a more distant place. So I think the earlier that you get, the better. And I think I'm trying to remember if I want to mention anything else. About the journal, because Bart mentioned the competitions, and the journal is a book published by the students of University of Tartu. And this year I took it over with 2 other students. So we're gonna start working on the journal this week. Actually, we have some publications to start. And not only that, another thing about studying in Estonia that I think it really brought my attention to it, and I was not aware before I moved here. I think it's how accessible we are to stuff. I think maybe because the country is a bit small, but the fact that we got to visit the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we get to visit the Supreme Court, we get professors like Julia that they were judges at the European Court of Human Rights. We get, at least me coming from a very big country, to access these people and this kind of places, it's very hard. So I think here in Estonia, you feel more included. It's more reachable, and it feels very good because then you see in practice, you see in person also. So I think that's one very good thing that Estonia has to offer itself. And also last year that we got to go to the Estonian Human Rights Conference. I've been to so many things since I moved here. It's been a year and a half that I have never attended from my 6 years in law school in Brazil. So it's very interesting. And one last thing about the course itself. Coming from my background, international law in law school, it was a very shallow part of international law. And once I got into the master's, because it was a master in international law and not, as Bart say, like in human rights or in transitional justice, like very specified, because the master is in international law, I got to study more deep the stuff that I wanted, plus the compulsory courses. The one that we studied, the ICJ, dispute settlements, it's something that I've never had contact with before, and I struggled studying international law and studying cases through international ICJ cases. And after I had this course at the master's, it was so clear, and I really enjoyed it. So you get a deeper look into the basis of international law, and I thought that was very interesting. And then with the elective courses, you can then choose what do you think it's more interesting for yourself. And there's a whole branch from international relations to law of the sea. There's a whole different branch. I think it's very interesting.
Very, very nice. I even took myself some notes. It's always good to hear from students and what they enjoy and what they find useful and what they find challenging also, just to know how to support students even better. So this is something that I have not mentioned, but maybe it's worth mentioning. We don't have many questions in the chat, and maybe for those of you who will watch this recording later, this is something you would have liked to ask. I hope we answer everything that you would have asked live, but didn't get the chance to do so. Even though we are not based in Tartu, as I said, we are trying to maintain a sense of community and belonging to this program, and we have student representatives who are taking the pulse all the time and communicating with program management. Also, student representatives are the link with the professionals of the field. There is a council, an advisory council of this program formed of representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice of Estonia, a law firm, and the Estonian Institute of Human Rights, who is the organization in charge of this annual human rights conference in Estonia that Clara was mentioning, which takes place on the 10th of December every year. So the representatives of these institutions are, and the student representatives and myself, are part of a advisory program, advisory council of this program. So we are trying to connect also how we prepare the students with the professionals of the field, and so obviously we also have, as I said, the visits, but there are also meetings between the program management and the students. We try to well connect and support each other in all ways that are needed. So once you arrive here, you are in good hands. So how do you prepare for that? You had very good tips from the students. Documents needing to be sorted out maybe sooner rather than later. As Clara was mentioning, that it sounds like a long time until beginning of September, but actually you should rather start planning as soon as you heard from us that you have been admitted, if that is the case, which, as I said, is 30th of April. And that is the latest date we will announce the results. So you will have some months until September, which overlap or overlap with summer. As Clara was saying, it is better to start planning all these things ahead of the summer. We all know that summer is a time where prices rise everywhere now. Due to obvious reasons. So rather plan your arrival and the details of your arrival early enough, and arrange everything that is necessary. Now, obviously, a lot of this process is, as I said, taken care of our Department of Admissions and ourselves. I mentioned that we put our new students in contact with the existing ones belonging to groups and using social media to give tips and advice on how to get by initially, which we all need. As Clara was saying, it's also some of the existing students would be willing to share accommodation, and so I think that I think it's going to be great to do all this. Yeah, this is a little bit of what I took notes from what else you said. Now, I see some questions, two of them more precisely, about the interview and how many people apply? Well, quite many, but what I can say is that we only have 25 places. That is not to discourage you to apply, but this is the, let's say, maximum capacity. And only in a couple of years we went above that number by very little. So this is what we are prepared to train as professionals. And so it sounds probably, maybe for many countries is a small number, people probably coming from countries big like yours, Clara. I would imagine that there are much more students sitting in one course or parts of a program, but this is our maximum number per year, 25. And about the interview, this interview, first and foremost, as I said, is based on discussions, right? It's a discussion in which we want to get to know you, and we want also you to get to know us. As I was saying, it is me, but also my colleagues who are teaching in the program. So we want you to also get to see who we are, and it's, if you want, even a dialogue between professionals and future professionals of the field of international law and human rights. I don't advise you to stress too much, but just get clarity about how do you plan to actually make this studying with us be a step in your career. So very often students in interviews chose us for obvious reasons. We want to go over those. How did you find out about us? And how did you choose Estonia? I already asked this, Clara and Bart here today. How will this help you to become the professional? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? This I can also ask you, Clara, and even you, Bart. Where do you see yourself? You already studied a little bit or more. Where do you think this all goes now that you are studying with us? And so the interview is very short, it's 20 minutes. The dates are announced on beforehand. The applicants get to choose certain time intervals. You know, some of you are coming from different time zones, and not everything that works for us works for you. So we offer many possibilities, or enough possibilities for you to be able to attend, not to miss it. It's confirmed by email. It's in coordination with you and your agenda. We have the interview for 20 minutes, and the results are coming very soon after that. And as I said, the interviews are scheduled for the first part of April. So there are no other questions, but we still have 5 minutes. I'm thinking, let's transmit some positive messages to the people that are out there. Maybe still going to this, what I asked you. So how does this program helping you becoming the professional you plan to become? Take it because...
You mean for us to answer?
Yes.
For me personally, I think it helped me a lot to understand, have a deeper knowledge, as I said, but not only that, I learned how to have a more critical view of stuff, I think. And at the beginning, I didn't quite understand the need of the research papers that we have to write, but right now it makes so much sense. And I am very grateful that I'm finally learn a lot how to write more, research more, and the program itself helped me a lot on develop that, I think.
But
For me, so my background is purely domestic law. The one of the great things about the program is you have to study public international law as your first course, which gives you a broad remit from about different areas of law. It's helped a lot, especially with regards to the breadth of courses, because it's helping me refine the specific area that I will want to practice in. When coming over, my intentions were afterwards I'll go back to the back to the UK, and I'll maybe work for the diplomatic service in the UK. More and more, the exposure that I'm getting to courses, it's opening horizons. I'm thinking about different institutions. I hadn't ever considered working in international criminal law. It's now front and center in my mind. It's a newfound passion. So, I think don't be frightened. You've had a lot of information about the different courses, but I think you're eased in quite nicely. You're given exposure to a lot. So yeah, I think there's a plethora of possibilities.
Mm-hmm. So altogether, you are happy with your choices. I was watching some of the movies we have made back in the day about this program, and one of the questions that the student received and had to answer is, "Are you happy with your choice of coming and studying?" So I think you would have answered yes from what I hear. Yeah, we are having like 2 minutes. What can we say in 2 minutes? That I mean, there are some questions I will answer. I mean, I answered them directly, but I will also answer them by typing once we end recording. Somebody's asking about the PhD programs. This is a master's program in international law and human rights, but there is a PhD program at the School of Law of the University of Tartu. So my advice to you is to Google the School of Law of the University of Tartu, and landing on the website of the School of Law, you will also see information about its PhD program, as well about the other programs that we are offering for studying with us. Similarly, if you are interested in studying at the Tartu University, these open days, virtual open days, have a lot of webinars of this kind going on. Immediately after this, there will also be a webinar about another excellent program of ours, which is on IT law, which is starting now. So I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to stop this webinar. Don't hesitate to write to us. This is the website of the program, as I said. And I will also project the last information, my name and my email address, together with repetition of the website. Don't hesitate to contact us and clarify everything that needs to be clarified in order for you to be able to apply to become our student. And I very much look forward to seeing your application and seeing you in the interviews, and why not seeing you in September 2024, studying with us international law and human rights in Tallinn, Estonia, in the master's program offered by the School of Law of the University of Tartu. Thank you. And thank you, Bart and Clara, for joining me today and for the insight that you have offered into the program from the students' perspective. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.